For the past few years, we've all gotten pretty used to AI that can talk to us, right? You ask a question, you get an answer. But what if that conversation is just the starting point? What if AI could go beyond just talking and actually start doing things? Well, that's the powerful idea we're diving into today. And this is the absolute core of what we call agentic AI. It's this huge shift from AI as just a passive source of information to an active collaborator that can take on tasks, use tools, and really pursue goals on your behalf. So the big question is, how do we actually build one?
In this explainer, we're basically going to build an AI agent from the ground up, step by step. We'll start with the core principles, then we'll add the basic building blocks, and then we're going to progressively layer on new abilities like tools and memory, all the way up to creating a whole team of collaborating agents. All right, let's start with the fundamentals.
Okay, so first things first, we need to really understand what makes an AI system agentic. Because it's not just about being smart, it's about a very specific design philosophy that's built on 3 key principles. So these 3 ideas really define what an agent is. Asynchrony means it can work in the background, responding to things as they happen, not just when you're actively talking to it. Autonomy means it can make its own decisions and take actions without you having to approve every single little step. And, most importantly, agency means it does all of this with a purpose, to achieve a goal that you've given it. So, how do we start building one of these things? Well, we begin with the simplest possible form, the basic reasoning agent. You can think of this as the foundational brain of our entire system. And here you can see that core loop. It's really simple. A question comes in, the agent sends it as a structured prompt to a large language model, or LLM, which is that powerful AI engine doing the thinking. Then, the LLM generates a response and the agent delivers it back to you. It's kind of like having a brilliant new hire who can answer any question based on what they already know. But that's where their ability stops. And that leaves us straight to its limitations. This basic agent, it can't remember past conversations, it can't use any software or check a website for new information, and its knowledge is completely frozen in time, limited to whatever that LLM was trained on. So to do any real work, it's going to need some upgrades. So let's give it that upgrade. The first really major one is giving our agent hands, the ability to use tools and actually interact with the outside world. You can really see the evolution when you put these two side by side. Instead of that simple little loop, the process now has a new step. The agent can search a list of tools and actually use one. The LLM is no longer just answering the question, it's figuring out which tool it needs to use to find the answer. It's like we just gave our brilliant new hire a laptop with access to all our company's software and APIs. And all of a sudden, the possibilities just explode. The agent can now access real-time data, it can do complex calculations, connect to other services. This means it can actually book that flight for you, not just tell you about flight options. It can take direct action in the world. Okay, so our agent has a brain and it has hands. What's next? Well, it needs a memory. It needs to be able to learn from experience if it's going to become a true collaborator. And here's how that works. Now, before the LLM even thinks, the agent pulls from 2 kinds of memory. Short-term memory for recent context, like what you just said, and long-term memory for stuff like your personal preferences or past project details. This is like giving our new hire a notebook to keep track of every single interaction we have. And the impact here is huge. The agent can now keep a continuous conversation going, it can personalize its help based on what it knows about you, and it can even learn from its own mistakes. It's not going to ask you the same question over and over again. It becomes a partner that actually gets better over time. So far, we've built a pretty powerful solo agent. But let's be honest, some problems are just too big for one person or one agent. So the next logical step is to build a team. And this is the core idea of multi-agent collaboration. Instead of just one agent trying to do everything, a high-level goal gets broken down and handed out to specialized agents who communicate through a shared system. Think of it like hiring a whole department. You got a planner, a coder, a researcher, and a tester, and they're all working together on the same project. Now, it's really important to get the distinction here. A simple workflow is kind of like a manager at the top just delegating tasks down a chain. But true multi-agent collaboration is more like a team of equals, negotiating and adapting as they go. It's not a predefined sequence, it's a flexible, dynamic process that's just perfect for solving really complex problems. And this is where things get incredibly powerful.
I mean, you can create an autonomous research team that finds, summarizes, and then validates information, or a simulated software team that plans, writes, and tests code. You're no longer just automating a single task. You're automating an entire collaborative process.
So we've built our agent all the way up from a simple brain to a full-fledged collaborative team. Now let's just zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. Why does this whole evolution matter so much?
There are a few key things to remember. First, these agent patterns are like Lego bricks. You can mix and match them to build what you need. Second, the best design always depends on the job. You don't need a multi-agent team just to answer a simple question, right? And finally, this isn't science fiction. All of these patterns can be built and scaled today with the technology we already have.
And that brings us to the final, and maybe most critical question. We're moving from a world where we just use AI as a tool to one where we truly partner with it. As these agents become more capable, more autonomous, and more integrated into our lives, they stop being just assistants, and they start becoming true collaborators. The only question left is, what are we going to achieve together?